All right, y'all, let's get some messages. So the theme of this reading, according to the dice, is the ninth house, Venus, and Cancer. So there's a sense that maybe there's a spiritual focus in our lives right now. Maybe we're focusing on exploring in terms of what we believe in, redefining our beliefs. The ninth house can have to do with religion, philosophy, spirituality. It can also have to do with travel. And so maybe travel is in the cards, or anything that feels sort of like horizon expanding. And then with Venus here, that can relate to, yes, like our loving relationships, romance, but it can also be connected to our values, what we care about, what we place value in, what we find beautiful, what attracts us. And so the feeling I'm getting here with Cancer too is that there's something that we're nurturing. There's something that we're wanting to nurture and cultivate, and it could be something that like opens us up to higher realms. So let's turn to the cards and get more information. Wheel of Fortune, King of Wands reversed, and the Four of Wands. So starting with the Wheel of Fortune, changes are in order. We are still within the eclipse window, and so change is kind of a thing. Change is kind of destined, and destined things are likely to happen during eclipse windows. Sometimes the most significant events of our lives can unfold during eclipse windows, things that really kind of change the trajectory and the course of our lives. And sometimes it's small stuff. Sometimes it's stuff that seems inconsequential even, but that does sort of impact us on a subterranean level or on a subconscious level. And so it could be for you that big changes are happening in your life that are kind of opening your eyes to new possibilities, that are opening your eyes to new ways of seeing the world. Our sort of outlook on life, our life philosophy can change a lot when we're experiencing ninth house activation. And then with the King of Wands in reverse here, it feels like this could be representing you or someone else in your life. This is technically a Sagittarius card, but it can also be Aries or Leo, or just someone who's embodying more fiery energy. Fire is a very creative energy. Fire signs are often very creative, and there's a sort of like extroversion and like generosity of spirit that comes, I would say particularly with Leo, but with Sag, there's this sort of freedom-seeking, expansive energy where Sag people can be very high-minded, and also like kind of on the opposite end, kind of like silly and playful. And Aries people can be very confident, very fiery, very bold. And so I feel like you this season might be exploring the ways that you are sort of mastering your fire energy, and maybe the ways that you've fallen out of step with it. Maybe the ways that you've been reckless. Maybe the ways that you've been a little bit like too dominating or too forceful, trying to kind of like push things along as opposed to allowing things to unfold at the pace that they're meant to unfold at. With the Four of Wands, this could have to do with relationships. And we do, again, have Venus here. And so maybe there's this like urge that you have to force something or to push something forward. But you keep being reminded of like divine timing. Maybe this has to do with family or home stuff. Maybe beliefs that you received from your family of origin are changing in significant ways, and you're kind of understanding the ways that your early development has impacted the way that you see the world and interact with it and all of that stuff. And if that's the case, I think that you're being called to come back to sort of a Cancerian approach here, which is more nurturing generally. Cancer people and Cancer energy can be sort of like, they desire safety, often emotional safety, and Cancer people can be really great at creating emotional safety for other people. And so it might be that you feel like you're kind of in an incubator right now, that you feel like there are big things afoot, sort of like even fateful things that are occurring in your life, but you're wanting to maybe go into your shell. Maybe there's a part of you from childhood that's sort of like emerging and you're in contact with your inner child, or just like noticing the ways that, again, these early experiences in your life have really influenced you and you're wanting change. Maybe you've shown up in sort of an arrogant way, or there's like a flare of narcissism or like just egocentric attitude that's been driving parts of your life, and you're sort of turning to a higher power, to spirit at this point, to kind of unpack that and maybe come back to a grounded, soulful place that's not so ego-driven. And I think that with the Four of Wands coming up here, it could be that family figures really prominently in this healing process for you, or on the contrary, that like getting away from family is really important for you in that process. And it could be that when you get away from your like birth family, you are able to find kind of soul family or chosen family, and that there's this real energy of self-discovery, but it's through expansion. It's through opening up to more possibilities. Let's get one more card. 10 of Wands. So it feels like you are coming to the end of a long road. You've been putting a lot of energy into something. It's weird because I'm getting such a vague energy from this reading. I feel like I might be talking to a lot of people here, maybe more than usual, because I'm having a hard time picking up on strands. And it feels like with the 10 of Wands coming up here, maybe that's how you feel. Maybe you feel a little bit lost and like you can't quite find the thread. Maybe you don't know what the next step is that needs to be taken in order to close out a really challenging cycle, especially spiritually. So let's get some advice to close on. 6 of Pentacles. Be generous right now. Practice generosity materially if you're able to, offering support to people who need it, offering your time, your energy to people who need it, and also open up to receiving generously from others. And notice how when you're in a state of reciprocity and when you are willing to give, you often end up receiving in turn. And so there is this real focus on like, where do I need to be more generous, perhaps? Where do I need to care for myself and maybe set boundaries? And how can I come back into a place of really nurturing myself and nurturing the people around me?